Tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite was live from Austin, Texas. And quick little background for you guys. Last week, I was recording my AEW Dynamite review, and I was 28 minutes into the podcast. And I was finishing up on the Swerve Strickland Kevin Knight main event. And the recording stopped on me. In the middle of the podcast, and I wasn't able to get it out last week because of that. So I didn't forget or anything. I was recording and it stopped right in the middle of the show. So, but believe it or not, I was not the biggest fan of last week's Dynamite show. I just thought the pacing was very off. The main event was outstanding. The Kevin Knight Swerve Strickland match, that was outstanding. I don't necessarily know if I was a bigger fan of tonight's main event, but we did have ourselves a great main event with world title implications going into next week. They have two big matches built around the world title, and we'll talk about this opening segment and everything that was laid out, and then Kenny Omega's promo at the end of the show on MJF. I'm so confused with everything that's going on. Like, I know the guys that are going for the title, but the way they have this, I'm so confused. There's a match next week. There's a number one contenders match. Kenny said he's got one more match. I'm just... What is going on? There's a lot going on, man. It's a little bit confusing, but we'll talk about it. But the main takeaway from tonight, and we will get to it when we get there, was the debut of Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa is all elite, and just like Powerhouse Hobbs, Ciampa's contract expired with WWE, and he decided not to resign, become a free agent, and sign with AEW. So basically, you can look at it as a trade. AEW is getting Tommaso Ciampa, and WWE is getting Powerhouse Hobbs. Of course, there's reports that Hobbs is going to be getting his name changed and all that shit. So look forward to having him under a different name. I don't know what's wrong with Will Hobbs. You don't have to call him Powerhouse, but when he first came into AEW, he was just Will Hobbs before he became Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't know what's wrong with Will Hobbs. Like, that's just... I don't know. It seemed like everybody, besides a few, that comes into WWE, they get their name changed. They didn't change Jade Cargill. They didn't change Penta. They didn't change Phoenix. They didn't change Shawn Spears. But a couple other names they did end up changing. But, I don't know, man. We'll see. But the debut was awesome. It was an awesome debut for Tommaso Ciampa. He got a really, really nice entrance. The lights going out. The Psycho Killer on the Titantron. The fire. He got a really nice presentation. And he hasn't felt like this big of a deal since 2019 when he was in NXT. Unfortunately, he never felt like a big deal in the main roster. He was either stuck in the mid-card or he was in a tag team with Johnny Gargano. And if I'm Johnny Gargano and I'm watching this, I'm kicking myself in the ass tonight. So we will go over everything that happened in tonight's show. I appreciate you guys joining me. It's a big week for professional wrestling. The Royal Rumble is this weekend. I will be watching the Royal Rumble. I don't know what day I will be reviewing the Royal Rumble. I don't know if I'll be watching the Royal Rumble live or not, but I am very excited for a couple things. I mean, there's been Rumbles in the past where I've been way more excited for. This year's I feel like has potential to be great, but I don't know. We could get to that another time. I was going to do my Royal Rumble predictions along with a SmackDown review on Friday night. Might not be doing a SmackDown review. Might be going out with the girlie on Friday night to go see a movie, which I would be very excited about. So I would just do Royal Rumble predictions tomorrow night. If that is the case, I will keep you guys updated on Twitter. And if that is the case, we will be doing Royal Rumble predictions here tomorrow night on the Big Fight Fuel channel. And it probably won't even be that long because there's only 4 matches. The 2 Royal Rumble matches, Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre, and AJ Styles versus Gunther. So I will let you guys know on Twitter tomorrow whether or not I'm doing Royal Rumble predictions tomorrow night here on the Big Fight Fuel channel or Friday night after SmackDown. So, and if you haven't already, be sure to go ahead and check out my Monday Night Raw review and my Saturday night main event review that I did this weekend, which is doing pretty well, doing very well. We're at 125 right now. And if you guys are new, subscribe to the Big Fight Field channel. It is WrestleMania season. It is about to be WrestleMania season. And not only for WWE content, but when we don't have technical difficulties, we're here every week for AEW. So we got all the WWE, AEW analysis that you need right here on the Big Fight Fuel channel. Okay, so let's get into the show, shall we? We had, as I said at the top, AEW Dynamite from Austin, Texas. Kicked off with Kenny Omega versus Rocky Romero. It's not really what this was all about. This was about a 5-minute match. Rocky made himself look like a geek. Ate a V-trigger. And then a one-winged angel. So Kenny Omega beat Rocky Romero in about 5 minutes. We had another in-ring segment. Kenny Omega cutting a promo, talking about taking down every member of the Don Callis family to get to the AEW World Championship. And Hangman comes out and he cuts a promo on Kenny. And then Swerve comes out and he cuts a promo on both guys. And this brings in Tony Schiavone. And Schiavone announces that the winner of tonight's match between Andrade and Swerve will face Kenny Omega next week on Dynamite, and there will be a number 1 contenders match at Grand Slam Australia, and the winner of that will challenge for the world title at Revolution. Okay? I want you guys to keep in mind, they announced a number 1 contender match at Grand Slam Australia. So right now, we have Swerve and Andrade tonight. Winner takes on Kenny Omega. And they said there's a number 1 contenders match. And my question is now, I have so many questions about this, but this is my first question. Where does Hangman fit into all of this? Because Hangman was supposed to be feuding with Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is apparently injured during training as announced by Excalibur, and he's going to be out for some time. So that completely fucks over the Adam Page Samoa Joe feud, which best wishes go out to Samoa Joe, but I'm okay with this. I hope Joe gets a speedy recovery. I really do, but the Hangman Joe feud, it's ran its course. Hangman and Jet Speed just won the trios titles, and the Ops were completely past its peak. We have passed its peak with the Ops, so this might have been the best thing for Hangman. I just don't know where he's going to fit in with this whole world title thing. He did get in the face of MJF at the end of the show. Is he going to be in the number one contender match at Australia? I have no idea where Hangman fits into all of this, but don't worry. I got more questions about this at the end of the show, so that was your opening segment. Kenny said, no matter if I hate you or if I love you, I will do what I gotta do to get to the AEW World Championship. Meaning he hates the Don Callis family and he loves Hangman Page, but it doesn't matter because he will do what is best for Kenny Omega to get to the AEW World Championship. So that was your opening segment for Dynamite. Then we had Jon Moxley and Ace Austin, and it was fine. They had a fine match, nothing too crazy. 12 minutes, and I'm thinking to myself, they really haven't done any justice with these Eliminator matches with Jon Moxley. And these Eliminator matches are so predictable because most of the time when you have an Eliminator match in AEW, whoever's the champion is going to win. And I just feel like that's boring and that's very predictable. And that's the route they've gone with Jon Moxley. And luckily, we got something exciting after the match. So Moxley beats Ace Austin in about 12 minutes. And after the match, out comes Konosuke Takeshita to interrupt the Continental Champion. He doesn't speak into the microphone, but he reminds him that he beat him in the Continental Classic, and he's coming for the Continental Championship. He did the strap symbol, meaning he's coming for that title, and Moxley was all for it. And then he got attacked, Moxley did, by Mark Davis and Jake Doyle, and Takeshita was not appalled by that. So didn't take that well, did Takeshita. But Moxley and Takeshita, that sounds exciting to me. That sounds like something I can sink my teeth into for Jon Moxley. I love that. All right. This is the big talking point of the night. Not the match, but the post-match. We had El Clone challenging Mark Briscoe for the TNT Championship. And the match was really good. I don't want to take anything away from the match. I don't think El Clone should have gotten a title match this soon. What should have happened was he should have kept winning because they brung him in here to feud with Hologram. Hologram's hurt right now. They should have had El Clone go undefeated just like Hologram. Get to this match with Mark Briscoe. And then Hologram comes back to cost Clone this match. And then we get that feud. That did not happen. Clone just lost to Mark Briscoe. Cologne looked impressive, yes. They had a really good match. And I've never seen somebody, counter the Jay Driller like I saw El Cologne counter it tonight. That was sick. And it sucks because this guy's only had a couple matches in AEW. He's wrestled maybe 3 matches in AEW. Gets a TNT title match. He lost. Where's the direction of El Cologne? He's just another guy. He's just another guy in a big faction of the Don Callis family. And he's got to pick up meaningless wins. And then he's going to get his next title match. And he's going to lose that too. So, good match. I just don't like the booking. And I don't like the booking of Mark Briscoe's reign so far. But it could take a big leap after tonight. Briscoe said he promised to be a fighting champion. And he said that Saturday night is the last night of the residency at the eSports Arena. So he wants to represent the brand as best he can. And he wants to defend the TNT Championship on Collision in an open challenge with the caveat it cannot be a member of the Don Callis family. So the light goes out, and on the Titantron, you see like a heart pumping. And it does it a couple times, and you get the opening beat of the song. And I was watching this show with my dad tonight, and he thought it was Karrion Kross. And sorry to upset all you Karrion Kross fans out there, but if this was him, I would have been pretty upset because I don't think Karrion Kross is a good fit for AEW at all. I just wouldn't like that signing. But then it says Psycho Killer, and I'm like, oh shit, this is Tommaso Ciampa. I wasn't even thinking about this one because he got released 2 weeks ago? I didn't even think of the possibility of him coming to AEW. But he got a huge pop. He trimmed his beard. Crowd is going ape shit for him. Holy shit. Holy shit. Tommaso Ciampa has came out and he has accepted the challenge of Mark Briscoe. They stare down for a little bit. Ciampa looks at the TNT Championship. And he gives a kiss to Mark Briscoe on the cheek. And there you go. Mark Briscoe is defending the TNT Championship against Tommaso Ciampa. And first things first, this gives me a reason to watch Collision now at some point this weekend. I'm probably not going to watch it on Saturday. Maybe Sunday night, maybe Sunday afternoon or whatever. But this gives me a reason to want to watch Collision because I want to watch the debut of Tommaso Ciampa in AEW. And I think he should win too. I'm not really a fan right now of Mark Briscoe's TNT Championship reign. And it's not his fault, but it's been rinsing and repeating with a lot of guys in AEW where they are really good with the chase and they win that TNT Championship, and Tony Khan doesn't know how to book their reign as the TNT champion. It's happened with a lot of guys. It's now happening with Mark Briscoe. Like the chase against Kyle Fletcher was great. He won the title in a fantastic match. I was there in person for it. But now it's like, okay, you got a bunch of these mid-card guys that we all know he's not going to lose to. Here comes a new guy. What better way to introduce Tommaso Ciampa than to put the TNT Championship on him. And not only put the TNT Championship on him, have him turn heel in the process. Because, yeah, Ciampa's a good babyface. He's a solid babyface worker. But we all know, from the NXT Black and Gold days, we all know this guy's better as a heel. He is 1,000 times better as a bad guy. So he should win and turn heel in the process, starting a feud with Mark Briscoe for the TNT Championship. Because this guy's got the tools. He can talk, and he's a damn good fucking wrestler. He just hasn't been able to show it on the main roster. He has at times, but not fully. I love this. I didn't even think about this as a possibility, but the entrance, the presentation, I love this for AEW. And if I'm Johnny Gargano, I'm kicking myself in the ass right now. I don't know how much longer he has on his contract, but if I'm seeing my former tag team partner go to AEW, get a massive pop, get a holy shit chant, get put in a pretty decent spot right off the bat, and I'm on SmackDown, and they got me in a mask, and they got me in the low and mid-card division, I'm probably barely on TV. Heck, I'd want to get the fuck out of there too. So, this is awesome. I love it. I think Ciampa's going to do really good in AEW. I do, man. I think Ciampa will be just fine in AEW. So, we'll see. I'm excited. And it gives me a reason to watch Collision now on some point this weekend. MJF and Brody King, they had a segment last week too, and I didn't really like that segment. This was a lot better. MJF was going to cut a promo. He couldn't even get the words out before he was interrupted by Brody King. And MJF told the truck people to immediately cut his music. That we already talked last week. I don't want to talk to you again. He said, you're following me like a lost puppy, and you've been doing that your entire career. First, you followed around Malachi Black for many, many years, and then he dipped. And then after him, you followed Buddy Matthews. Like that's some intimidating name. He's like, oh, by the way, how's his ankle doing? And now, you're deciding to follow a loser who I already beat. A loser just like these people here in Austin, Texas. You're deciding to follow around Bandito. He's like, you know what? You want to follow me around? I can use you. We'll put you in a suit. We'll put you in a scarf. And you'll be all ready to go. And he compared him to a Nazi, which you look at bro. I gotta find a line for this. Hold on. What did he call him? What did this dude say about Brody King? He said, never in my life have I met a liberal man that looks more like a Nazi. And even Brody King couldn't help himself but laugh. And Brody said, yeah, you're right. In order to get a shot at the world title against you, I need to beat credible wrestlers here in AEW. And I did what I had to do. I talked to Tony Khan. We came up with a solution. And the guy that I need to wrestle is you. And MJF's all confused. And it's like, I talked to Tony Khan. And next week, we're going to have an eliminator match. And when I beat you, I call my shot to get my chance at the AEW World Championship at Grand Slam Australia. So they made the match official. Next week, it is going to be MJF and Brody King in an eliminator. Here we go again with these eliminator matches. I think this would be a good match for the Grand Slam Australia show. I really do. And I don't think it's going to happen. But I think they need to do something where it's either a DQ or a count out or a time limit draw that these guys get into, and we're able to get this again. Because you can't have all these eliminator matches and just have the champion win every single time. That's boring. So you've got to spice it up. You've got to change it up a little bit. So next week I would have this match go to a draw, and I would do it again in Australia. If I'm booking it, that's the way I'm doing this. So, is that going to happen? Probably not. I just think MJF's going to beat him. Should it happen? I don't think so. Tekla versus Chris Statlander for the AEW Women's Championship. Tekla was really good in this match. They did have a good match. This was probably Tekla's best performance in AEW. She is the heel in this match, and she got the crowd to chant for her name, which is big for her. She hit Statlander with the spear that she pinned her with 2 weeks ago. But Statlander kicked out of that. And Statlander ended up winning the match. Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale came out to celebrate. And they see Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford standing on top of the ramp. And in the meantime, they announced that on Collision, Julia Hart and Sky Blue are going to challenge Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron for the Women's Tag Team Championship. So, there you go. It was pretty good, and I thought Tekla was really good in that match. So, we had a backstage segment with Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita. And Callis is there, and he's running down all the wrestlers that they've signed to become a part of the family. And now that we've signed, we need to collect depth. And by doing that, he said championships need to come home to daddy. And he's breaking down all these guys going after championships. And he talks about Kyle Fletcher going after the TNT Championship. Now, I see a lot of people upset on social media about this line. I don't think that's the case. You see the look on Kyle's face. Kyle doesn't look thrilled with going after the TNT Championship. And he talks about Takeshita going after the Continental Championship. And he's like, first things first we need to do is we need to do the same thing that Kyle did tonight, and that's forgive Okada for what happened at World's End. And Callis leaves, and he's like, and Takeshita's like, you forgave Okada? And before Kyle could even get an explanation, Takeshita walked out on him. There you go. Tempers flaring. Takeshita is going to get that Continental title match against Jon Moxley, I think. And that's when I think the family is going to turn on Konosuke Takeshita. Callis is going to have to pick a side. Kyle Fletcher's going to have to pick a side. And ultimately, I do think I do think they're both going to pick Okada. I do think Kyle Fletcher is going to be a big-time babyface in the future for AEW, but right now, outside of MJF and Okada and the Don Callis family, they're really short on heels in AEW because you've got so many babyfaces. You've got Moxley, you've got Swerve, you've got Hangman, you've got Kenny Omega. There's a lot of... We've already got plenty of baby faces. We need more heels in AEW. And I don't think now would be the time to turn Kyle Fletcher into a babyface. I think that's something down the line towards the end of the year or maybe the beginning of next year. I don't think right now would be the time. So they are going to turn on Takeshita. And that might be the moment. So, is it the main event? I think it's the main event. Okay. Andrade and Swerve. This was the main event of the show. Big stakes for the AEW World Championship. Swerve and Andrade, they're doing some chain wrestling. They're doing a little bit of flips, head scissors. Andrade lands on his feet. Andrade does a head scissors with Swerve landing on his feet. They're doing a lot of cool shit in the beginning. And the crowd, they're eating it up in Austin, Texas. Swerve is on the top rope. And Andrade baits him. And they both go to the top rope themselves. Swerve hits a Hurricane Rana off the second rope to Andrade. Then Andrade hits a Tornillo on the outside to Swerve. And they did the same spot last week with Swerve and Andrade that they did with Swerve and Kevin Knight. Except, instead of Swerve executing the pile driver, Andrade was able to hit a back body drop on top of the guardrail, and he took a pretty nasty landing himself. So, that looked like it fucking sucked. Andrade was able to hit the Avalanche Poison Rana off the top rope, and they gave him a lot of offense, which made me think Swerve was going to win this match. But then Andrade, there's a point where he went for double knees, and he got hit with the house call, which looked fucking incredible in hindsight. And Swerve, he's going for big pressure, but Andrade holds on to the referee, Aubrey Edwards, goes low on Swerve, hits the messenger, which is his finisher, and fucking Andrade beats Swerve. Would have never thought that would happen. That's a big win for Andrade. And now he gets a match with Kenny Omega next week in Las Vegas. But here's what I'm confused about. They go to MJF in the back. And MJF, he's getting interviewed by Renee. And Kenny Omega walks up to him. And Kenny says, I probably should have talked to you earlier, but might as well start now because I have one more match and one more week, and then my eyes are set on you. And I'm like, wait. Didn't they say there would be a number one contender match at Grand Slam? So why is Kenny saying that he's got to wait one more week to become the... What is going on, dude? What is going on? I like the guys and the names that are involved with this world title picture, but the way they have this structured, I'm like so confused. And they didn't really explain it well either. So you got Kenny coming up to MJF. Then the camera's following MJF, so you know other stuff is going to happen. Then Andrade confronts MJF that he's coming after the world title. And then as MJF is about to get into the limo, he's stopped by Adam Page. So he can let him know that he's coming for the title. So, is the winner of Kenny and Andrade going to face Adam Page at Grand Slam? They did not explain this at all. And I'm just so, not lost, but confused with the structure of how we're getting this number one contender match at Grand Slam. Next week, we're getting Andrade and Kenny Omega, and we're getting MJF and Brody King in Eliminator. That's all we know. But what happens after that, I have no fucking clue. I have no clue. So, that was your episode of Dynamite. They had a awesome first hour. That first hour kicked ass. And the second hour was good. The main event was the main attraction. And overall, I thought this was a really good show. Of course, I'm going to have my criticisms. But at the end of the day, still, this was a really good episode of Dynamite. So, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the Big Fight Fuel channel. Comment down below your thoughts on AEW Dynamite. Hit the like button if you like what you heard from me. Follow me on Twitter at Conlin_Joseph. And I will see you guys in the next podcast. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy. And I'm out. Peace.